Hey, this is Steve.Phipps. I want to talk to you about something today that's near and dear. Have you received one of these recently? Are you considering receiving one of these, sending one of these, I should say? Those are divorce decrees. So, if that is on your mind or that's something that you're considering, stick around. I've got some really good information for you that you're going to want to have. I'm Steve.Phipps with Keller Williams Realty Phoenix, and we're going to be talking about divorce and some considerations in divorce. So, let's dive right into it today. I don't care what side of the divorce you land on. Divorce is an emotional process, and sometimes it's a messy process, and it will affect your emotional and financial future. The Institute for Divorce Financial Analysts surveyed their members in 2013 about the reasons their client gave for getting a divorce. And the most common cause was incompatibility, caused by one or more other factors such as infidelity, lack of communication, arguing, money, whatever. Things haven't changed all that much in the present. A recent survey done by the Porch team, and I'll link that article below as well, comes in with the same conclusions. We can easily see as we look at the chart here that 80% of divorce is emotionally driven. So this can lead to some serious mistakes in the divorce process. So let me stop here and get a couple of things out of the way. First of all, I'm not a divorce or a real estate lawyer. I'm not a tax professional or a financial advisor, and I'm not even a marriage counselor. I would recommend, though, that before getting a divorce or thinking about some of those things I'm going to discuss, that you seek competent professional advice. I'm a real estate agent. I've seen the effects of bad decisions made in the settlement process when it comes to owning or keeping a home in the future. So keep in mind, you can negotiate anytime before or during the settlement process, but once that gavel falls, that's it. One, you nor I ended up considering a divorce or in a divorce because we were great at communications and relationships. Emotions led us to this point. There was a breakdown in those communications and emotions. That's why you're contemplating or you're getting a divorce. That's what happens. Two, negotiating a divorce settlement will have an impact on how you go through your financial and emotional future. It just will. You need to take a non-emotional approach to it, step back a little bit, get some advice, and maybe have somebody handle that negotiation for you in whatever category we're looking at. Three, what is your strategy for financial stability and home ownership in the future? That needs to be incorporated into your negotiating strategy for divorce. And then four, can you really stay on track in your divorce strategy if you're always dealing with emotional turmoil? If you have a controlling or manipulative or abusive spouse, can you really negotiate with them one-on-one? Having a professional, whether that's a lawyer, mediator, a tax advisor, financial analyst negotiating for you can really help out. Again, we want to look at the family home. There are reasons that we want to stay there. It's familiar. It represents security. It could represent status, whatever. But if you're the spouse who's going to be taking the home, are you really in a position where you can keep and acquire that family home, keep up with the mortgage? There are a lot of instances where we think we can and we don't. So here's some things to take a look at. One, can you make the monthly payments comfortably by yourself? In other words, what's your budget actually look like? Two, if my ex-spouse is providing some type of financial support, how reliable are they going to be? Some questions on that front that you need to ask. Do they have a stable job, number one? Or have they had a history of going from job to job to job? Two, is their industry stable? Are they in an industry that's going to be stable for the long term? And three, the other thing that you need to ask is, are they an addict? Do they have a gambling problem? Do they have an addiction or substance abuse problem of some type? And then three, how are your joint debts being handled in the settlement? That's going to affect your monthly budget, especially if your ex-spouse either doesn't follow through on their payments or if they declare bankruptcy. That could leave you holding the bag. So again, these are some considerations, some things you need to look at. In a recent article titled Negotiating Your Future by Henry S. Gornbing, and I know I messed that up, and Fadi Barati, they asked the question, are you emotionally attached to your home? In the article, and again, I'm going to link this below, they're asking if you're making a sound financial decision or if it's based on emotions. It would be great, as I said before, to keep the family home. There's familiarity, there's comfort, there's security there. Oftentimes it's a status symbol, but they're not always the best choices for keeping the home. So ask the questions I posed earlier. If you can answer them in a positive light, then maybe it makes sense to keep the family home. According to the Porch article, the one I've linked below, the home breakdown, the size of the home breakdown compared to what you currently have after a divorce looks something like this. 29% get about the same size home. 18% of spouses move to a larger home. And then 53% of spouses actually move to a smaller home. They downsize. And as you can see, the vast majority of them are downsizing. They're moving to the same or a smaller home. Another consideration that you have to bring up, are you or your spouse moving away? This will affect how that family home is taken care of. According to that same Porch article, 48% of spouses stayed in the same city. The rest either moved to another city next door, or they may have moved out of state, or maybe they've moved several hundred miles away. All of that is going to affect whether or not you keep that home, especially if there are children involved and you have things going on there. So again, this is an area where you're going to want to seek professional counsel, either as a tax advisor, financial analyst, a lawyer. It doesn't matter. Get that advice. I've seen too many times when I'm working with a spouse that needs to sell a home that they can no longer afford because they acquired the family home and couldn't keep it, or they're in a position where they made decisions in the settlement, the divorce settlement, which leave them financially in a position where they can no longer acquire a home and won't be able to for several years. So make sure that you take a look at these things, make sure that you understand the ramifications that can come from that. So what can you do with a family home? One, you can sell the home immediately. That's obvious. Depending on the market will depend on how quickly that happens and what the price is that you can get for the home. Two, one spouse can buy the other one out with a cash settlement, or preferably by refinancing the home. In other words, they get their own loan. If there is a cash buyout of the equity, it is recommended that the spouse that is bought out get their name off the loan. Three, both spouses can hold the loan jointly for a specified period of time. And again, you're going to have to work out tax liabilities and tax credit. From a real estate point of view, I've seen many clients that have lost the ability to own their own home for several years because of bad emotional decisions. And these decisions were made during the settlement process. And as I said before, negotiating during and before the settlement process is fine, but once that gavel falls, you're stuck with the decisions that have been made. Lastly, getting a divorce is emotional, it's messy. There are many factors to consider, especially if you've acquired a lot of assets. You'll want to get some professional advice in the various realms that I mentioned before. If you like the information that we've shared here, share that with somebody you know. Again, punch that like button, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment below, either what we didn't cover, what you would like to see covered, or how we can help you in the future. Subscribe to the channel for more information at a future date. We try and release videos every Thursday so that you can have that. Again, those links will be in the comment section below. And this is Steve.Phipps with Keller Williams Realty, connecting people and homes one relationship at a time. You have a great day.